The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. You're giving veterans a voice today. Powered by WorkSimple, where we simplify your mission.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Lock in every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Tracer Rounds targeting veteran resources.
You wonder why life feels like chaos, like tracer rounds flying all around you? That's why I created the Tracer Rounds podcast. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I help cut through the noise and point veterans to those resources they need. Since 2023, join me.
To hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Wreaths Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
And welcome back to another edition of the Tracer Rounds Show. And with me tonight is my special guest, Pariah Burke. Welcome, Pariah.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Terry.
I'm so excited to have you on. And I have to tell everybody that you're one of the newest DJs we have on our platform on Military Broadcast Radio. And our platform is a 24-hour streaming internet-based radio station. And we go all over the world. And we get Pariah to come on our platform. And he has a show every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's a 2-hour show. And it's awesome. So welcome to our platform.
Thank you. I am so glad to be a part of it. I'm honored to be a part of it.
So how did you get to, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, but how did you get to hear about our platform and how did you get to us?
Actually, DJ Zorn, who also has a show on MB Radio. Zorn and I became friends a while back, and he just thought my show, the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show, would be perfect for Military Broadcast Radio, and he introduced us together.
And he is not wrong. It is a great fit for our radio station, our radio platform. And we're so glad to add it. And obviously, we're happy to have Zorn as well. And I know that you guest star on Zorn's show because I've heard you. So you do guest spots on there from time to time.
I do. I actually have a regular feature on his show called Hit and Hidden, where I play one hit song and one rarity or live song or deep cut or something that you might not have heard on the radio from one of your favorite bands before. And it's a really cool feature. I'm glad I get to do it in DJ Zorn's The Wire.
That's an interesting way to hear, we're going to go through it, but albums, you don't get to hear all the songs usually on the radio on regular airplay. You just get to hear the one that's making the most noise, or it's turned into a single and it's really doing well on the charts. But the other good songs that were on albums, and I don't know if they even still call them albums, but you didn't really get to hear them. I had one from Rick Springfield that I absolutely loved, and I kept asking the radio station, not mine, but when I was a kid, I kept asking the radio station to play it, and they're like, I've never heard it. And I'm like, well, it's on the album. They're like, well, I'm sorry, if it's not a hit, we can't play it. And I was like, oh, and it was Daddy's Pearl, and I really love that song, and I don't know why. I mean, it's not a super great whatever song, but it just resonated with me for some reason, and I never got to hear it. So I understand what you're saying when you say these hidden gems, because there really are. There's really some good music that's hidden, beneath the layers of the ones that are popular on airplay.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with the way commercial radio is these days, you don't get the experimentation. You don't get DJs surfacing a song that they found, that was a B-side or just happened to come from the album, or was even, back in the day we had bootlegs that would get aired on the radio. And a platform like MBR, one of the things that we can do is recapture some of what made radio great. The last 60, 70, 80 years, the discovery of new music, not just Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine for the millionth time, get a deep cut in there, get something that, maybe hasn't been heard. It has never been played on the radio, or maybe only got played 20 years ago.
True. I don't know if you're a fan of Falco or not, but I really was a big Falco fan back in the day. And he had a song that didn't play on regular radio, but I really loved it. And so I added it to the radio station because I wanted other people to hear it. And it's Genie. And I just love to hear that song. It's kind of sad and it's kind of dark, but I don't know why it resonated with me, but it did. So I added it too because there's a lot of songs, like you say, that are just, they need to get out there. People need to hear them. And the only way they're going to hear them is people like you.
Yeah. I don't know that song. My exposure to Falco was I had Rock Me Amadeus on a 45.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to check out Genie. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's, like I said, it's a bit dark, and if you it's part of it's in German, obviously, but if you look at the lyrics, and then sometimes you're just listening to it, you can kind of hear what's going on, even if you don't understand the language. You kind of hear what the storyline is about. But if you look up the lyrics, you'll know the whole story.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, do because, like I said, I like it, but I'm probably not the norm when it comes to music. My tastes go all over the spectrum. So it doesn't matter if it's jazz, R&B, or if it's alternative, or if it's heavy metal, or if it's blues, like anything and everything. Good music is good music, in my opinion. So,
Absolutely.
Nothing's off the table for me to listen to. That's for darn sure.
I'm the same way. I like almost everything. I can't stand auto-tune. So
Yeah.
That's the only kind of music I don't do is when there's auto-tune in it, which is not to say that I don't like modern pop as well. It's just modern pop without auto-tune works for me. But everything else, I'm a huge fan of 70s funk, classical music, old Motown. In fact, one of my friends, Stephen St. James, was a singer for Motown.
Oh, wow.
And he started out as Motown's first and only hard rock band.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
something. Wow. So, how did you get into broadcasting?
So I was a graphic designer, believe it or not. And I started working with radio stations, this local group of stations in Daytona Beach, where I had a design agency. And next thing I know, I'm doing their website, I'm doing their graphic design work. Next thing I know, I'm being pulled in as a guest on air for their morning shows. They liked my voice. They had me cut a couple of pre-recorded promos for them, a couple liners that, when the DJs got tired of doing it themselves. And now that I'm in the business, I know what it's like. We have to cut all these promos, and sometimes I don't want to talk anymore today.
Right.
Oh, wait, there's that guy. Let's pull him in, stick him in front of a microphone. And then, I started learning my way around radio, and I always got, we were talking about the deep cuts and the rarities. It always bugged me that it was the same songs in heavy rotation.
Yes.
Over and over and over again, the same songs. And you'd hear, on the rock station, you'd hear Metallica's Black Album, the singles from that, Wherever I May Roam and Enter Sandman, 3-4 times, in a day part, within a segment of time,
Yes.
for you folks who don't know the radio lingo. But there was a whole catalog of music that could also be played, that was still radio friendly, didn't contain profanity or anything like that. And I always thought, if I can ever get into doing that myself, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to bring up some of these rare gems and play the hits, play the songs everybody knows, the songs everybody loves, but also work in some that may not have heard in a while, songs that'll really take you back, that you haven't heard for 30 years running, the song you haven't heard in for 20 years that suddenly takes you back to a memory.
Yeah, I resonate with all kinds of music. So I'll hear a song and I'm like, I remember when that came out and I remember exactly what I was doing. I mean, music really is a time machine to take you back to time and space when, though you were a kid or when, you got your first job or you got your first car or whatever the case may be. There's always a music playing in the background, a music collection playing in the background because you hear all these different things going on. And so, every time I hear something, I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, I remember that. So I think it's super cool that you play those deep cuts because, people need to hear more than what you're saying, just the ones that are popular, because there's so much more music out there. I know a local radio station who I will not name. If you get in the car, you'll hear a Michael Jackson song within 5 minutes of being in the car. Every single time. Every time. I'm like, I love MJ, but, I need some variety in my music palette. I don't need Michael Jackson every time I get in the car. So I think it's important to expose others. And even the old songs are coming back. And they're hitting hard because they're being added to video games and everything else. So the younger generation is getting to hear some of the 80s and 90s music that, we grew up on, or I grew up on, let me just say. I'm speaking for myself, but now they're getting exposed to it because I had one of my kids, he was talking about a song and I'm like, where did you hear that? He goes, oh, it was on this game I'm playing. I'm like, really? Because I mean, it's from the 80s. And I was like surprised that he was singing the words. I was like, how do you know that? It was really very eye-opening that some of this music is being replayed and re-aired and re-enjoyed or are enjoyed now for the first time with some of this younger group. They're starting to sing the songs and know who those artists are. So I think that's super important that we keep those legacies alive of, those singers they're timeless. I mean, the music is timeless in my opinion, because it transcends any of this stuff that's going on now. It puts you in such a mood or in a space that's a positive one.
Yeah, especially the 80s. 80s music and the feel of the carefree 80s, and when there was a renaissance of that 1950s style nonsense pop that just made you feel good, made you enjoy the music and enjoy the moment. I like Rage Against the Machine, but I don't want the heaviness of that kind of message all the time. You gotta have a time where the music just uplifts you and lets you just float away on, positive feelings.
I agree with you 100%. Another song I was going to ask you if you've heard about, Sweet 16 by Billy Idol.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Do you know where it was shot?
No, I don't.
It was in Florida, and it was at, I wasn't trying to think of the name of the place. It was created by this little man from Lithuania, and he made this castle out of sandstone from the quarries around the Miami area. It's just south of Miami, and he made it for his sweetheart. And his sweetheart decided she didn't want to come from Lithuania over to the U.S. And so he was left brokenhearted. And so that song, Sweet 16, is about this guy's true love that just left him, and didn't come when he built this castle for her.
Wow.
It's really deep. So if you watch the Spanish version of it, it's filmed there. So it has subtitles in English, actually it has subtitles in Spanish, but that's the only video that has it in there. So it's really cool.
All right. I don't think I've ever seen the video, but I'll make a note of that too. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super cool. I just love that song. So I put it on the platform because not everybody has heard it. So they're hearing it now, whether they want to or not.
So what do you think, folks? What do you think about that song, Billy Idol's Sweet 16?
Yeah, it's good. So everybody, I recommend it. So go listen or listen to MBR and you'll hear it because it does play. So how did you come up with your show that you're doing now, the Hard, Heavy, and Hair Show? What prompted you to start this particular show? And then tell us a little bit about the show. Give us a little bit of the backstory.
Well, the show is hard rock, heavy metal, and hairy glam. Hair metal is a derogatory term, but so we say hairy glam. And it plays everything from the late 60s to the latest releases, the newest Godsmack, newest Dorothy, all the 80s, 90s, 70s, early aughties, 20 teens, everything all the way through. And I try to keep a good mix of all 6 decades in every show. It came about because I have a massive music library, and and I just had all this great music that doesn't get played on air. And a friend talked me into I wanted to do a radio show, and I actually had a pseudonym. So Pariah Burke is my real name.
Is it really?
It is. It's not an on-air name. No, I was going to be Whiskey Wade Bolin. That was going to be the host name for the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show. Mm-hmm. And a friend talked me into using my real name. She kept saying, no, your own name is much better on air. Use that. So, unlike traditional radio, I went with my real name.
I thought it was a stage name because it does hit hard. It is a good name.
Thank you. Yeah, and I've been doing the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show for almost 10 years now, every week. Started it in 2017 and getting close to that 10-year anniversary.
Wow, that's awesome. So where all do you play? I know you're on internet radio, like we're an internet radio station, so it plays there, and you're on FM channels. And so where can somebody find you depending upon where they are?
There are a handful of FM and a couple of AM stations that actually air my show. But the vast majority are internet stations. I'm literally on the air every day of the week. Some station somewhere is airing the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on all 6 continents. And I've actually heard, I say 6 continents, but I have heard from somebody in Antarctica that streamed the show. Oh, wow. So I've literally been heard on all 7 continents.
Wow, that's amazing. So given that all right, so you have a day job. And so you DJ on the side, and how do you fit it all in?
Friday is show day. I teach Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is show day. My day job is I teach software and AI to military and intelligence personnel, United States military and United States intelligence community.
And so most of the work you do is remote, is that right?
Yes. I do some on-site work, some in-classroom work, but the majority is remote, and that way I can reach U.S. military anywhere in the world without having to necessarily fly to meet them.
That's awesome. So MJ, who is also on our platform, she's a host for the World of Conscious Positive Thinking at 9 Eastern on Mondays. And she's asking if you have a vinyl collection. There's a bet going on.
I don't know which side you're coming down on that bet, MJ, but unfortunately, no, I don't collect vinyl. I did at one point, and then I moved cross country, and the only thing that disappeared off the moving company's truck was my vinyl collection.
Oh, my goodness.
Including original Beatles pressings.
Oh, man. That's not good. Was any of that insured? Did you get paid back? I mean, I know you can't really get you couldn't be paid enough to really recoup what they were worth, but did you get paid on any of that?
I got a little bit of a settlement, but it was, I hadn't fully documented the collection.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was in my 20s. It was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, we learned some of those lessons the hard way, unfortunately. Okay, now we know. So she said, thank you. I said 80s. He is a CD guy. Oh, that she was talking about the one she was having the bet with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you do graphic art, you said. And so how did you get started in graphic art? Did you go to school for that, or did you just pick that up, or how did that come about?
I did. I started out as a graphic designer. I went to an arts high school, and I
wow.
always had an interest in graphic design. Then I went to college for graphic design, worked for a few companies, and eventually built my own company. And then I had a friend who worked for Adobe, and they needed somebody to train their tech support people how to talk to graphic designers. How, when customers would call up, how to speak to them, what a graphic designer really cares about, and all that.
Right.
And right about that time, I had been ready for a change, so I took the job, and that gave me the teaching bug, and I haven't looked back since. I've just loved teaching.
What do you find you enjoy most about teaching?
That aha moment, that moment when a student realizes they can do something that they couldn't do before, or they can do something more easily or more efficiently than they could before. Just that moment when I see in their eyes, I get this, and I can do something new now.
Like it makes sense.
Yes.
So we were talking a little bit before the show, and we were talking about AI, and we were talking about that it's here to stay, and you were saying that it's continually updated, and that there's so many uses for it that most of us don't even use half of what it's probably capable of. What's your take on AI going forward, and then in workplaces and things like that? Because I know you said you teach the military about the use of AI. So what's your take on the whole AI situation?
Well, like you said, AI is here to stay. It's a genie that we're not getting back into the bottle.
Yeah.
For good or bad, and I can see both sides of the argument on AI. If for good or bad, it's here. But I don't feel that it's as disruptive as people initially thought it was going to be. Yeah. I don't think it's replacing people at a rate that a lot of people feared it would. I think it's mostly replacing entry-level jobs. So there's some adjustment we have to do there to work around that. But for the most part, it's helping other people with their positions. It's helping them do less of the tedious, repetitive grunt work, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so they can focus more on the things that really need a human brain. That the AIs just are not going to be able to replicate for any time, for quite a while yet. AI can be good. It can be used for bad, and it can be used to, make somebody's job harder. But for the most part, I feel that it's making people's lives and work easier.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought that it would be capable of like doing complex formulas for Excel, and it does. It can. So you'll put in like, I need it to do this or that, and it'll say, okay, if you're in column H or I, whatever the column and number of the row, it'll do all that. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I don't have to search or watch a video. I can just ask Copilot or whichever platform you're using for the AI, and it'll tell you. And I was so surprised that I could put in my request as I can ask for a formula, and it can bring it back.
Yes, absolutely. And it can do complicated formulas. I consider myself fairly good with Excel, but some of the more complicated procedures and formulas I get lost in. Yeah. I've been able to just tell an AI, I want to do this, but I have no idea how to start in Excel. And then it's given me the formulas, that are sometimes, 100 characters long.
Wow.
That maybe I would have stumbled on the solution to that after researching through Microsoft's website for 20, 30 days. I don't know. You know, but
Right.
but the AI just spits it out in a few seconds, and it can be very helpful.
It sure does. It is helpful. And I use it a lot at work to just write emails that sound happy and like positive or like empowering, just getting that little bit of enthusiasm going. So, it can be very beneficial because you can just say, hey, write me something like this. And then it starts to learn about you and about the way you write and about the types of things you talk about. And then it gears it towards what you're talking about. So for my show, for instance, if I say, okay, I need this type of thing, they say, well, on the Trace Around show, you do this. And so so like it's trying to give me a solution that kind of relates back to something I've done before. So I'm surprised at how well it really picks up on your, the way you write or the things you say, because if I sign off on a certain way, it'll sign off that way too. It understands that that's the way I like to talk or that's the way I end something. And so it starts to write that way too, which I'm like, well, it's learning me and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, it can be a little spooky, but I was teaching some soldiers just today how to have the AI write like their commanding officers, with approval.
Right.
Things that people are supposed to be writing as if they're coming from the COs. And it can learn how the CO speaks and how, the terminology they use and make it sound just like them, and I always tell people, don't necessarily rely on AI to give you a final version. It's great at giving you a strong first draft, but you always want to review it. You always want to potentially edit what the AI has given you.
Yes.
But it can do a lot of that heavy lifting. When you're sitting there with what I call blank screenitis, you have no idea what to write. You got a blank email or a blank Word document, and you just don't know where to begin. That's where AI can come in. It can write that first draft for you and get you over that writer's block and get you started. And then you go and edit from there, and revise as needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. So what do you think about AI music?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
So I've experimented with it and I've taught it, and it's fun. When it comes to the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show, we had to set a policy that we don't air any AI created or assisted music, because that's what our listeners requested. That and they were very loud about that. They don't want any AI augmented music. That said, it's kind of like auto-tune.
True.
It's the next generation of auto-tune, and auto-tune is controversial in and of itself. I'm not a fan of the sound that auto-tune tends to make. That electronic wah sound. But some people really like it, and they are grateful for auto-tune. Some people will also like and be grateful for AI music. Now, for parodies, I mean, having Guns N' Roses sing, "Help" by the Beatles, or having a 1950s barbershop quartet sing a Metallica song. Oh, I love AI for that. That stuff is just great. I mean, you haven't lived until you've heard Bobby Darin singing Pantera. You'll find that on YouTube.
I'll have to look for that.
Or the Beach Boys, singing NWA. For that, it's a lot of fun. And I encourage anybody to just have fun with it. If you're not a music professional, I don't think there's anything wrong with AI music. But if you're a music professional, what is it doing for you? Is it taking over the job of a studio musician, or is it just helping you figure out how to rhyme your lyrics better? It depends on the usage.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So do you play any music? You've been in a band?
I've been around a little bit. I play guitar. I sing badly. Um,
So is that your critique of yourself, or do others say that?
um, it's pretty much universal.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I can harmonize with a few people, but you don't want me singing lead.
so what type of music is your favorite to play? Or maybe what band is your favorite to play?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite band, but hard rock and metal music, and then funk, especially if I can get my hands on a bass. You know, because there is nothing like the funk music sound of an electric bass.
True. I agree with you on that. Definitely. So do you play anymore, or do you play with somebody currently, or is it just a hobby now and then that you just have fun with?
Just for me.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while, if you hear any of the radio imaging, the IDs and liners and sound effects in the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show, if you hear a guitar riff here and there, that's usually me playing it.
Oh, wow.
But I don't play in any bands currently.
Well, I downloaded the promo for this week's show, and I thought we could play it. I don't have it where it'll uh cover up the screen for the whole screen, but it'll play with both of us on here. So if you don't mind, I'll play it
Please.
so people can kind of get the sound and get the vibe behind the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show. Here we go.
Hard, Heavy, and Hair, the biggest hits, deepest cuts, and rarest hard rock, metal, and hair of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, and today. Hard, Heavy, and Hair, badass music for badass listeners.
This is Pariah Burke. Join me on this week's Hard, Heavy, and Hair show, a show scientifically proven to be the ultimate radio show for true fans of heavy rock. We're mixing together ingredients like New Kickin' Valentina, Smoking Snakes, Crashing Wayward, Iconic, and more. A blonde-loving song that scales the Empire State Building. Rarest of rare hair from Cruella de Vil, Megadeth, and Nobody's Fool. They may sound like cartoon porn, but the reality is sexier. Plus the stable control elements of the Cover Song of the Week mystery, the Triple Shot Game, and the Rock Queen of the Week. All of that mixed together on this week's Hard, Heavy, and Hair show.
Hard, Heavy, and Hair with Pariah Burke.
You really do have a radio voice.
Oh, thank you.
I love
my
the
mother said
promo.
I have a face for radio and a voice for print.
You have a voice and a look for both.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So how do you come up with your songs for the week? Do you have something you're picking from? Like how does the show come together?
Wow, great question. Usually it's inspiration. So there are a few regular features to the show. So there's the Cover Song of the Week, where I play a hard rock or a heavy metal cover version of some other song, and the other song may come from any genre. I've had a hard rock cover of Britney Spears, for example, and Lead Belly. Black Betty. Lead Belly's original version was from 1923. And
Wow.
so with the Cover Song of the Week, I play the hard rock or metal cover and then the original song right after it, so people can compare and contrast. And sometimes they're surprised by what the original actually is. On last week's show, there was, and I'm blanking on the title of the song, but the most famous version was by Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash, but they weren't the original.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't, I'm blanking on it. I can't believe I forgot what it was. But so I'll do that. And then there's also something called the Triple Shot, which is 3 songs related by some factor. It can be a musician, it can be a producer, it can be a lyrical theme to the music, or maybe it's unusual instruments, harmonica in a heavy metal song, something like that.
That's funny.
So a lot of times those will inform the rest of the playlist, the cover song of the week and the triple shot, because the cover song of the week is a mystery. I drop hints and clues throughout the show, and then I don't actually tell anybody what the cover song is until right before I play it in the final 20-minute segment of the show. So this week's theme is science. That's why the promo said that it was scientifically proven to be, the greatest rock show on the air or something like that.
I love that. The song maybe is Going to Jackson. I don't know if that's
it. Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a song that I didn't know that was a remake, and I was so surprised. And then I listened to the original and I was like, there is no way that would have ever done anything. So the song is Blinded by the Light, and the original was done by Bruce Springsteen. And I was like, no. And it does not sound right at all, because I'm used to hearing Blinded by the Light with the current band. And now I'm blanking on the group. I know it, but it doesn't sound the same. And it doesn't sound like Bruce Springsteen should have been singing it at all. Have you heard the original?
I think I have a long time ago, because I've listened to most of Springsteen's catalog. But
I didn't even know that it was in it. I didn't even know. It was crazy when I heard. I was like, there's no way that he originally sang that. But then I was like, yeah, he did. He recorded it well before Manfred Mann. That's the name of the group. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. But yeah, I was like, so when you're talking about somebody that made the song a hit, and then those that actually wrote it or recorded it first, you're like, then you can't hear it any other way. Just like Sound of Silence, I can't hear it any other way besides Disturbed now. That's it. I can't hear it sung by Simon and Garfunkel. It just doesn't sound right anymore, because Disturbed did it so well. And I think they even said in some interview or something that they did that, it really is their song now, not Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah, I can see that. Turn the Page. Metallica did a cover of that. And that's a song that so many other bands have covered, but they always failed to capture the emotion of it. But Metallica made it their own. And I know I keep mentioning Metallica, but I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but everybody knows them. So
they do. Yeah. One of the song everybody knows too, besides Inner Sandman, for sure.
Yes. Another song is I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett.
Yeah.
Hers is a cover.
I heard that recently, and I don't think I've heard the original, but I was like, really? Like, that's a cover? Because she owns that song.
She does. And the 1976 by the Arrows, Joan Jett gender swapped it. They originally sang, from the male perspective, pursuing a woman, whereas Joan switched it around from the female perspective, pursuing a man.
That's awesome.
She just made it her own. And the average person thinks Joan Jett did the original just because she did it best.
True. I mean, and that's what happens if somebody really nails it, then they're like, oh yeah, no, they created it. That was them. And you're like, no, it goes way back before them. Just like Johnny Cash and Hurt and Rusty Cage. I mean, he really made those his own songs, and they weren't. I mean, but he owned it by the motion that he put in it and how he slowed it down and how he just really, you could hear the feeling in the song because he brought out that emotion, I think.
Yeah. No, wow. Just thinking about Johnny Cash's version of Hurt makes me start to get a little misty. I mean, yeah. And that video, the black and white video that he did for that when it first came out.
He was a man of many talents, and he really, even though he was kind of, I would say he wasn't outspoken, but he really got his message across. Like wearing black, he said, I'll wear black until, all the people that have been wronged are righted. And so I'm the man in black. He said, if things change, I'll wear a rainbow every day. That was part of his lyrics. And I really think he believed that. And I really think he fought for just the common everyday person. Like he wasn't about himself. He didn't really, he wasn't all about his celebrity, I think.
I agree. I think celebrity was something he endured more than sought.
Yes. Yes. I think so too. And I think he stayed true to himself until the very end. I don't think that he ever really gave into the establishment. I think he, like one of the album covers has him flipping people off. And I think that's what he continued to do until he passed away. I think he said, I'm me and I'm going to be me and you ain't changing me.
Yep. And I think those later cover songs, the Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails covers,
Mhm.
I think that was him flipping everybody off, defying expectations. You think I'm this, this country icon and I always do this kind of music? Well, what do you think about this?
Right. I agree with you. And that's a good analogy. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but yeah, you're right. I think that was his way of saying, look, I can do this too. And I don't have to be put in a box and I won't be.
Right. And that's great. That David Bowie was like that too. Bowie never stopped experimenting. Sometimes he went in really the wrong direction, but he never stopped experimenting and he never stopped challenging himself as an artist.
I agree with that. He was a genius, I think. Just everything he was able to accomplish in a short amount of time, because he left us way too soon, like a lot of artists tend to do, it seems. They leave us a legacy behind of their works. And then sometimes we don't really even realize what all they've done until after they're gone, because then people start digging stuff out of crates and out of closets and everything. And they're like, this tape and this CD. And, they find music that was never released that had been like sitting on a bookshelf and like they would get to it later type of thing. They'd write it and they'd say, well, it's not quite ready for airplay. So I'm just going to stuff it in the back and then maybe bring it back out. So I think we learn more about artists once they're gone, unfortunately. And when they're alive, they don't really show us everything they're really capable of sometimes, I think.
I agree.
Because Prince was another one who had a bunch of songs that he never released. And he was like really great at writing for other people too, because a lot of people he wrote songs for a lot of groups that you wouldn't know he wrote. And it's amazing to me when I hear he wrote them. I'm like, really? Like, that's Prince? Like, he was a genius too, not only lyrically and musically, but playing the guitar. He was just an all-around genius at what he did, I think.
Well, he played almost every instrument. He played, so on all of his albums, he's playing all the instruments. He only hired bands to go on tour.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah. So you said you don't have a favorite artist, but is the genre that you're most tied to the metal, or what would you say your genre or your era is in particular?
Yeah, hard rock and metal. And then if I had to pick an era, it'd definitely be the 80s. The heyday of hard rock. And again, like we were talking about earlier, the 80s was just fun. The music was fun.
Well, that's what Cyndi Lauper said, so I believe her.
Everyone just wants to have fun.
That's right. Not
just girls.
That's right. So who have you met that you've just been like, man, I can't believe I've just met this person? Like, have you met any of your heroes, or have you met some other DJs or just bands that you thought you'd never get to meet and you met them and you're like, oh, wow, this is my moment?
Well, I don't get starstruck. In fact, I'm terrible at, I hang out with a lot of bands and a lot of musicians and I never get photos with them because I just never think about it.
Oh, wow.
But I've met all the guys in LA Guns, interviewed most of them. Let's see. There's an obscure band that most people have never heard of called the Electric Boys. In the 80s, the late 80s, they had a couple of songs, All Lips and Hips and Psychedelic Eyes. And they're what's called a funka metal band, which kind of marries my two favorite genres of music. there's the funky bass and keyboards, and their hard rock. And I got to interview their lead singer and chief lyricist. He was one of my first interviews. And I wasn't starstruck, but he was definitely a hero that I wanted to get to talk to.
That's awesome.
Guy named Connie Bloom.
And some of these lesser known bands playing great music, by the way, but lesser known bands, it's great to be able to like highlight and spotlight what they're doing, because I don't think they get enough recognition, and they deserve it. So even if they're not getting all the traditional airplay, just you bringing them on and talking to them is a great way to, encourage people to go find their music and listen, and maybe, get a resurgence going on some of these older hits that we enjoyed as, youth, and bringing them to modern day and getting them recognized again. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. I try. And I agree. I think it's important for us to recognize the music that's out there and the musicians that have worked, in the past and are still working to bring the music to the people and keep their art alive. I think it's important that radio does its part to help not only the musicians stay current, but also help next generations, find this great music that we've loved, that, is in a lot of cases timeless. It's not all of it timeless. Some of it's pretty dated, but there are some. I have a list of songs that I won't put on the air that are dated things, like Kiss's Christine 16. It's a little bit things like songs like that I won't air anymore. But yeah, I think it's important that that people get to find something new. And we were talking about, resurgences, these video games, the TV show Stranger Things, bringing all this music back. Rat going #1 40 years later because their song appeared in a television commercial.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then that created a whole new generation of Rat fans that are, that hadn't been born, and sometimes their parents hadn't even been born during Rat's heyday, and they're getting to enjoy this music.
Well, Michael Jackson's on the charts again because of the movie, and I was so surprised. He was at like 2 songs on the top 10. I'm like, how? Like that song is 30 or 40 years old now. I'm not even really sure. But there's a resurgence there, and like you said, are getting popular again. And it's like, how did that happen? I mean, not that it wasn't good music, and not that I'm not happy for his music to be, heard again, but it's surprising to me because one of them is Thriller, that's on the top 10. I can't remember the other song, but it's like when I first heard it, I had to do a double take. I was like, that's Michael Jackson. What's he doing on the top 10?
Yeah, how long's it been? 15 years since he died?
I think so. I was trying to do the math in my head and I couldn't, but yeah, it's been a while since he's been gone. So I was really surprised when I heard him back on the charts. I was like, why? And then somebody's like, it's the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's like you were saying, video games bring some of the music back. And then that Rat commercial that had Rat featured on it, then people are hearing it and they're like, that's a cool song. It's like, yeah, of course it is. It came from the right era.
Exactly. Well said.
So what's next for you? Do you have any projects in the works? Do you have another show in the works? Are you just going to keep doing the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show? What's up for you?
Not too exciting. Just keeping on the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show, continuing to teach U.S. service people. That's the best part of my work, is teaching service people. I get to serve those who serve, and I tell you, I could not be more honored, and to have the job that I have. So I'm going to continue teaching them. I'm going to continue building the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show every week, and That's all. Nothing. No other projects on the horizon.
And there's where you can find Pariah. You can find his Hard Heavy and Hair show. You can find his tutorials for Adobe. And then on all social sites, Pariah Rocks, you can find him doing what you do. So what social site should they navigate to if they want to hear what's next for the show?
Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, there's an official Facebook page. Pretty much every social media there is, we're out there. I said that my mother said I had a face for radio. My mother also says fools' names are like their faces, always seen in public places. Well, you'll find me on all the public social media.
Your mother sounds fun.
She is, and she's probably tuned in right now.
Well, that's awesome. I hope so. So I was going to ask you, you said that you do speaking too. What kind of speaking do you do? Like, you do speaking engagements, and what kind of things do you talk about? Do you talk about music, or do you talk about life events, like life circumstance? What type of speaking engagements do you do? And how can somebody tap into that if they want to have you come talk to their group?
Nothing quite profound. I speak about radio broadcasting, how to do interviews. I help with the AI work, things like that, graphic design topics. So I mostly speak at conferences and corporate events.
Well, I think they would do good to ask you about music too, along with the AI and along with the Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, because you're a wealth of knowledge for sure.
Well, thank you.
So I was gonna ask you one more question, and that is, what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now? What advice would you give yourself or give others that are trying to break into either like a DJing role, break into, talking about music, or break into graphic artists, or working remotely in some type of platform that does graphic art and does that type of work? What would you say, and what would you tell your younger self?
Don't wait for perfection. Get moving. There is a lot more power in putting one foot in front of the other and stumbling than there is making sure that you're doing everything perfectly from the beginning.
That's good advice, because if you just wait for perfection, sometimes you'll never get going. You'll just keep saying, well, it's not right yet, so I can't move on, or I can't go forward. But, it's trying and failing is how you learn and how you grow and how you get where you want to go. Because, if you say, well, it's too far to walk, I'm never going to get there. Well, you're right. You're not. You have to put one foot in front of the other to get where you're going. And sometimes you stumble and sometimes you fall, and you pick yourself right back up and you keep going.
Yeah. You pick yourself up, you rub the dirt out of your scab, scratched up hands, and you keep moving.
Absolutely. That's really good advice, because I think a lot of us get stuck and like you said, that blank page of either an email or a draft of some kind of report you have to write or something. There's that blank page, and it's kind of like overwhelming. And so you're afraid to take that first step or the first stab. But as soon as you do, then all that stuff that you were thinking that you could put on that paper all of a sudden brings itself forward, and you're able to really engage with whatever it is you're doing. If you're writing a report, if you're writing an email, if you're writing a story or a song, those juices start flowing once you get started. So, your advice to just start moving and just try it, even if you're not perfect, is really the right answer.
Well, it's worked well for me.
Do you write songs at all or any of that? I'm just curious.
Nothing good.
Nothing good. Do you write music for yourself to play? So you said that sometimes you're on the guitars in your ad for your show. So do you write something for that, or is that some other type of music that you're just playing that's already written?
No, I'll usually write the riff.
See, you do write.
A little bit, yes.
That's awesome. Well, it's been a great conversation, and I'm so that you came on the program tonight because I've been listening to your show every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Military Broadcast Radio. And it's inspiring, and your voice, like I said, is definitely one for radio, and you're very engaging with the information you bring forward about the songs and about the bands, and then just the fun you have in picking the music and developing your show is great. I just really love to hear how you put it all together and make it work, because it seems like a lot of moving parts that would be hard to connect, but you seem to connect the dots on the show really well, and all of it seems to flow and fit nicely into a 2-hour segment.
Thank you.
It's really good. So this is the last question I'm going to ask you, and it is, if I didn't ask you about anything and you had something you wanted to say, this is your time to tell us what you're thinking, or tell us what you wanted to tell us, just some words, parting words of wisdom or advice.
There's nothing that I don't think we talked about. Just find the deep cuts in life. Find, or the more popular way of saying it is walk the path less traveled. Stop and smell the flowers. Just enjoy life. Find something that is hidden from everybody else, or something that you never saw before. Explore and just find something new every day. That's the secret to being young.
I think so too. I think if you can just appreciate music or just appreciate life for whatever it brings and find the good in it, just find the positive in the day, even if it's not been a real positive day. If you can find at least one or two things that really made the day upbeat. So like someone opened the door for you, or someone said thank you, or someone called you and said, hey, I just wanted to tell you I was thinking about you and just wanted to say hello. Anything like that really can put that positiveness into your day. By whatever means, I think is what you have to strive for. I think you just have to look for those positive moments and then just capitalize on that. So like you said, look for those deep cuts, look for those wins in situations, even if it seems like not a win-win situation at all.
Right. There's always something to salvage, something positive to salvage from every negative situation.
I think so. And MJ was saying blessings on your journey. She enjoyed the show. She was telling you, thank you.
Thank you, MJ. Same to you.
She really loves music too, because her and I met her in Florida, and we took a short road trip, and she can sing just about any song. And, we were just howling it up all up and down the highway. And so I'm not sure if anybody was listening, but they might have been scared if they were. Of me, not of MJ, but of me. So I appreciate people's patience with both of us that day, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, she's really a music lover too. And she has music therapy that she does with veterans. So it's about the tones, and it's about the different, I'm going to get it wrong. So forgive me for my, not saying it all right, but the different tones resonate at different levels of energy. And so she really dives into all of that. She's really part of that whole therapy thing with music. And I really appreciate that for her too, because I think music does cure the savage beast, and it calms the soul, but it can also jazz it up too, if need be. So it can also inspire, or it can make you relax. So I think music in general, people need to include it in their life, because without music, I think the world is a less happy place.
I agree completely.
Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Tracer Rounds show tonight, and with my guest, Pariah Burke. I'm so happy that you came on, because I enjoyed our conversation so much. I think you're doing wonderful things, so keep doing them.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on Tracer Rounds, Terry. I really appreciated the conversation.
Absolutely. And so catch his show coming up Thursday on Military Broadcast Radio and other FM channels. He's on at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's a 2-hour show, so don't miss it. So this is Tracer Round signing off. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.